Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm super excited today because I have TV personality, entrepreneur, model, and actress, Cynthia Bailey. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to have you in the flesh, Jasmine.
Listen, so I hit up Cynthia myself,
yes,
and I asked to do this interview with you, and then she had the nerve to be surprised because
I didn't think it was you, because I get hit up all the time by you guys, yes, and every time it's time to do the interview, it's always
someone else,
everyone except you.
Which they're good. Our correspondents are there. And we had a really good one last time with one of our correspondents. Yes. You were like, this is one of my favorites. So interviews.
Yes.
So the team is solid.
Yes,
but I would love to sit down and talk to you because I've never interviewed you before, and I'm a fan of you on Housewives and other things and other projects that you've done. But I want to start off and talk to you about your start in modeling.
Okay.
How were you discovered, or how did you become known in the industry?
Okay, well, it's actually a funny story. I was homecoming queen of my high school, the first African-American homecoming queen of my predominantly white high school.
What city is this in?
This is in Tuscumbia, Alabama.
Okay.
And the high school is called Deschler High School.
Okay.
And Tuscumbia is only really known for being the birthplace of Helen Keller.
Okay.
And now I get a little shy in here, so.
Okay.
So I was homecoming queen, which was amazing.
That's a big deal.
It really, well, at the time, when you're living it, it's like, okay, this is cool. But looking back, for me, that was when I think it was the first time I felt like, wow, if I can accomplish something like this, maybe bigger things are, out there for me. But anyway, going back to the modeling, because I was homecoming queen, there was a homecoming queen pageant.
Okay.
With all the homecoming queens in the South.
Okay.
So this was the first and only pageant that I've actually ever participated in. Okay. In any case, I was a part of this pageant. And I didn't have any talent really, so I recited Dr. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Okay, and I think I did a very good job. Okay. Anyway, long story short, I didn't place or anything in the pageant, because I'm not really a pageant girl. But anyway, the good news is the good and the bad news. I didn't win, but I kind of won because at the end of the pageant, one of the judges was a model scout from Wilhelmina Models in New York. Oh wow! And she approached me about signing with Wilhelmina Models. And I was the only one that she approached. Okay. So I didn't win, but I kind of won in the end.
Okay. So you end up getting signed.
Yes.
And so you moved to New York?
I moved to New York City.
How old were you?
I was 18.
You were young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right out of high school.
Okay.
And now that I'm a mom, I don't know how I convinced my mom.
Let you go to New York?
New York at 18. But I guess I must have been pretty persistent.
Right. So when did you start getting big in terms of modeling? How long did it take?
It took a minute. I want to say probably about 8 months, because it was almost the time.
That's not a long.
It is, okay, I guess it's not long, but it felt like a long time. Okay, because my mom was already like, if it don't work out, you got to come back home.
How were you? Who was paying for you to live, and how were you?
I was.
What were you doing?
After like a couple of months, I got a job. I didn't, know how to bartend or anything. And all my girlfriends that were models were like bartenders.
And they were white?
They were like European, black, white. They were,
so they bartended. What did you do?
I was the co-check girl and the host, because I didn't know how to bartend, because I didn't really drink a lot.
Right.
I was a very good Southern, wholesome girl.
Okay. You had roommates and stuff?
I did. I actually lived in a model's apartment.
Okay.
And this is basically what it sounds like. A bunch of models that live together and split the rent.
Okay.
And it's so funny because when I first moved to New York, as soon as I got there, I was staying with, the only way my mom would let me go is if I stay with my booker. Okay. And she actually had a model's apartment. So I get there, land into like LaGuardia, and I'm like, oh my God. My first taxi, I take it to the address, and my roommate is Nicole Murphy. But she wasn't Nicole Murphy then. She was this like beautiful girl from California. And I remember opening up the door and I saw her and it was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. Like she was the most beautiful
She's gorgeous.
creature that I'd ever seen in my life. But she was even prettier then. It was like crazy. I was like, what am I doing here? I don't look anything like this woman. But she was super sweet, and she was only there for like 2 weeks. And then they shipped her off to Paris because she was like, runway was like her thing.
Okay.
Oh, and then I guess at some point she met Eddie, but you have to talk to her about it.
Okay. But you never saw Eddie Murphy when you were...
No. He wasn't in the mix. All I can tell you is we were roommates for about 2 weeks. And then she moved to Paris.
Okay. So I asked you when you started popping, basically, in modeling.
Okay. So it jumped off when I actually got my first Essence cover.
Oh, and so it only took
2.
So it only took you 8 months to get an Essence cover?
Yes, it was about 8 months, I think.
Oh, let's just say a year. Almost a year. It took you almost a year to get Essence cover.
Yes, and it was pretty exciting because I remember going to the casting and it was like all these big models there. And of course I walk in and you have to understand, I had confidence, like, in Alabama, but I didn't have like model confidence.
Okay.
There's a difference in like, feeling like, okay, well, I'm a cute girl, right? I got going on, whatever. Then like walking into a room with a bunch of like supermodels, right? And like walking in and owning a room. Like I didn't know how to own a room.
Yes.
Like I would just walk in and be like, oh God, hi everyone.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I sit here? And everyone else would walk in and be like, hi, my plane's leaving for Paris in 2 hours. Where's the end of the line? I'd be like, what? Who showed them how to be like this? This is amazing.
Right.
So, I actually would go home and practice just acting like that. I would act like how other models acted. I was like, why are these so like
confident?
Yeah. But I was confident, but I wasn't that confident.
Right.
Where I was like, fabulous. They were fabulous. I didn't, know how to be fabulous yet. So
was it intimidating?
It was very intimidating because I didn't know why they were like that. I was like, where did they come from? Like, I didn't know anyone in Alabama that had that kind of presence and just confidence like that. So,
and New York is tough too.
Oh, absolutely. It's the most competitive.
Yeah.
Like, it's when they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, especially for the fashion business.
My girlfriend and I always talk about, I lived in LA for years and I still go back and forth between LA and the East Coast. And we always say like, LA will eat you up. Like you'll think you are successful in, another city. You come to LA and they be like, oh, like, it's just like,
who are you?
Yeah, like, okay, no one cares in LA. Like they're like, oh, okay, Denzel. All right. You have a reservation. Like,
it's so true. It's so true.
LA can be funny like that. But okay, so you booked this Essence cover.
Yes.
Who's the first person you call when your mama?
Well, I call my booker because at the time.
So how does it? Is it an audition?
I go in and I'm like, oh my God, it's like packed full of like beautiful girls. And I remember meeting Mickey Taylor, who was the editor, and she was the beauty editor, and Susan Taylor was the editor-in-chief at the time. And Reggie Wells, who was like big top makeup artist, he went on to do Oprah for years and years and years after. He was the makeup artist, and he was like so funny. Like I go up and I had like 2 pictures in my book. And we actually had a physical book. I was like, here's my book. Cute. And they were like, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Alabama. I was like, how long have you been here? I was like, like a couple months, like 3 months, I don't know, whatever it was. And so they were like, oh, let me take some Polaroids of you, whatever. And they took the Polaroids. And, I'm still trying to figure out like, getting my, my clothes weren't right. Like, I wasn't used to, being a Southern girl, I was used to wearing like, a bunch of makeup and hair all done. And then when I came to New York, they were like, okay, you can't wear any makeup to your castings. Thank God I had good skin. And, your hair just has to be simple. Like they just strip you down. They just want you to just be plain so the clients can see. Right. So, anyway, so I left the casting knowing that there was no way in hell I was going to beat out like all these gazillion girls that were in there. And at the time, I think I had did I have a beeper, a pager, whatever it was. And we had like the pay phones. So I, after my casting, I would call and they would want to know how it went and be like, hey, I just came from that Essence casting. There was a lot of girls there and they were like, oh, they booked you. And I was like, what? They booked me? And at the time, they didn't tell me it was for the cover. It was just for like a beauty spread. So after I ended up shooting with them, the photographer is a good friend of mine. His name is, now he is, Matthew Jordan Smith. He was the photographer. And I remember we shot. And after we shot, then they called and said, hey, I think they may want to use one of her shots for the cover. And I was like, oh my God. So of course I called my mom. I was like, I might be on the cover of Essence.
Wow.
So it was a big deal. It was definitely the turning point in my career.
Right.
And it, I didn't have a lot of access to like magazines and stuff. Like my mom didn't get Vogues and stuff like that. Right. But I remember every now and then I'd get my hands on an Ebony or Essence. And I'd be like looking at these women. I was like, how do you get in a magazine like this? Right. They all just look so beautiful and smart and strong. And, so I was super honored to get that covered.
Let's take a moment and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Cynthia Bailey. A lot of models have talked about the fact that, a lot of Black models, mm-hmm. Black and brown models, how they've had challenges behind mm-hmm. the scenes with hair and makeup or lighting. Did you have any of those experiences?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, the biggest problem was, first of all, a lot of Black models didn't work that much.
Okay.
You know, for jobs. If there was like a big advertising campaign, it would be maybe like, 5 white girls and maybe 1 Black girl. And the way the industry used to work by then, whoever the Black girl was, that's usually who got the job.
Right.
So most of the glam were not Black.
Right.
You know, they weren't African American people.
Yeah.
And all of that eventually did change. So what would end up happening was, we would take our own makeup. And I would sit in a chair just out of respect,
right,
and let them do their little light beat,
right,
with their little wrong foundation. And I'd be like, "Thank you," and then I'd politely take my butt to the bathroom,
right,
and whip out my stuff, and do my own makeup. Okay. And everyone that came up in that era with me, they all know how to do their makeup really well. Like Tyra and all of them, they can probably beat their face better than anyone can. And I'm really good at doing makeup, and it came in handy after I transitioned from modeling to reality TV because, we were always on camera. So
right.
Instead of me having like glam 24/7, the only time I really used glam was when I did my confessionals. Any of the scenes, if you saw me at home or even just going to visit the girls, I did my makeup.
That saves money.
It saves a lot of money. Glam is not cheap.
Glam is not cheap. Glam is not cheap. How long was the process? How long were you modeling before you started doing Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Oh, wow. For years. I went to New York City when I was 18 mm-hmm. and I didn't move to Atlanta until I was 40. So I had a very successful career.
Were you also doing acting then? Because I know you did Cosby. I know you had some other stuff in there. So can you tell me about some other projects that you did outside of modeling?
Yes. Okay. I was mostly doing modeling. Mm-hmm. That was where I was just the busiest.
And was this runway or print?
This was everything.
Okay.
But mostly, I was considered more like a beauty girl. So it was mostly editorial.
Yes.
And I did do some runway stuff as well. And then I went on to make a lot of money doing catalogs and stuff. Like some of my bigger clients was like Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom's, Macy's. Like I worked with all those clients for years.
And there used to be, I don't know how it is now, models used to make a lot of money.
Yeah, for us, like a day rate would be, I think by the time I stopped modeling, my day rate was at least $5,000 a day, which was a lot back then, mm-hmm. It's still a lot.
Yes.
But yeah, that's crazy. And then like for advertising rates, if I was doing like a ad for Neiman's or whatever, something like that could be like, $20,000, $30,000 just for a day's work. So.
And what you have to pay, you pay like your agent commission or
20%.
20%. Yeah. Okay. Huh. And was that it? That's all taxes. No, you just had to pay.
Yeah. You paid your taxes and you paid your agent.
And that was
20%.
It.
That's it.
Oh, that's nice. It's not a lot of overhead. Okay.
Yeah. But living in New York City was very expensive.
Yes.
So
it balanced out. But anyway, okay, so go ahead. I was all on your paychecks, but go ahead.
Okay, I know, right?
It's past.
It's a very thorough interview.
It's a long time ago. I never interviewed a model. Sorry.
No, but I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people don't know how it works. They really don't understand the industry at all, especially like model hopefuls. The parents, I'm always, talking to, people about.
And people be getting scammed too.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
okay, but anyway, other projects you did mostly, you're a beauty girl.
So modeling was the focus. Mm-hmm. All right. And then I don't think I told you, probably after like 8 months after I was in New York, I moved to Paris for like a year.
Oh, nice.
So now I'm in Paris. And I was like, oh my God, like now you're in Paris. Oh my God. Right. So anyway, and so that was great. And I would just come back and forth. I did very well in Paris, actually. So I spent a lot of time just going between New York and Paris.
Wow.
And then I got a call for The Cosby Show.
Okay.
And I was like,
what was your role? Were you
Shaniqua Watkins?
Okay.
When Erica Alexander came on, when she joined the cast, they wanted her to have some friends.
Okay. And what was your name?
Shaniqua Watkins. And I had 2 lines.
Okay.
It was high slide and by slide. It was like, but trust me, like now that I'm like an actress, like, it's harder when you only have like 2 lines because you got to kill those 2 lines. Like, it's better when you have a little bit more to work with.
Right.
So this is when Alan Payne had come on as well. Yeah. And it was really cool to be a part of that because I was a fan of the Cosby Show.
Of course.
And at the time I wasn't really focused on acting. So it was like what?
Right.
So I went to the audition and I ended up getting it.
Was anyone we know in the audition room?
It was. And I don't even want to say because they're like, one is like a really big actress now.
But they're really big actress.
Yes, it was. One was Nabushi Wright.
Okay.
And Ingenue. The one that played in the Serena
the mom.
Venus story.
Yes.
Who is
she's amazing.
Phenomenal.
She also did she play Twink in
I think it was her.
In the Clark sisters, the mom.
Yes. Oh my God. Did you see that? It was amazing.
She killed it.
No, it was incredible. She's so talented, which is why I don't even like to say that. It's something I got my little 2-line part.
No, but everything is full circle.
Yeah, but this was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did any weird interactions with Bill Cosby when you were on set?
No, you know what? For me, it wasn't. He was like, Bill Cosby was like, you couldn't even really get to him. He was like Bill Cosby.
Right.
But he did actually set me up with his son, Ennis, who went on to pass.
Oh.
So,
did you go on a date?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that?
It was great.
Oh,
well,
nice.
It was actually not that great because I don't think he was that into me. He was so cute. But I remember like us all meeting at this club in New York and I was so excited to go out with him. And he just was like...
He's not that into me.
I don't think he was that into me.
No sparks.
No.
But Cynthia, you are so famous because you went on like this. You have all these little stories. Like
I have to write my book. I think I'm going to write the book because I forget. Like honestly,
that's why I'm asking you specific questions because and this is your life, so it's normal to you. But it's not a normal person. Wasn't a model and didn't know Nicole Murphy back in the day, and then booked 2 Essence covers and went on a date with Cosby's son, and
it's crazy. Oh, you know what? I went on a random date with Jackie Jackson from the Jackson 5.
Really?
Yes.
Who else famous back in the day?
Yes.
Who else famous?
Actually, I think I went on a couple of dates with him, and he was pretty cool.
He was cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was pretty cool.
Who else famous?
Like, he even picked me up from the airport. I was like...
That's not, because
that's like extra cool.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to go pick up somebody from the airport?
No
especially LAX.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Who else fun that you went on a date with back in the day?
Mother has lived, honey.
Just give me 2. Just give me 2 people.
Let's see.
2 people.
I think, Jackie Jackson was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a daughter with Leon. He was pretty
I need 2 ones, Cynthia. I feel like you're in your mind, you're trying to think what.
All right, let me think. I don't know, Jess.
Okay, let's move on.
Because a lot of these people like really... Okay, I will say this I'll say this because it's already known.
Okay.
And I'm really good friends with them.
Okay.
Boris Kojo and I definitely dated. We were like super, super like best of friends for a long time. He had just started modeling.
Okay.
And but love him. Nicole.
This was Cynthia.
This was like so long ago. But he was like in college and he would come and he would actually like crash at my place and stuff. And it was before Boris was Boris. So now it's like, and the whole time my friends would be like, yo, what's up with him? I'd be like, oh no, this is my boy. We're cool. Because I was actually dating a basketball player at the time.
Who was the basketball player?
Oh my God.
Cynthia, you said it. Who was the basketball player?
Okay, the basketball player was Jason Williams.
Really?
From the New Jersey Nets. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's not who I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, we met very early in his career. Before like everything happened with him. And, sweet guy, really sweet guy. Jason and I were actually engaged. Yeah, it's a lot going on.
My goodness. Okay, look, let's take a break. We'll be right back and we'll get more into Cynthia's business from 100 years ago.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Cynthia Bailey. I'm getting all in your business.
All the tea.
Getting all the tea. Okay, so I want to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Okay. How'd
you get there? Who convinced you? Who picked you up? I mean, you already discovered, you already were known. Yes. So who approached you? What was that process like?
Okay. All right. So I met Peter Thomas, who was living in Atlanta. I was living in New York City. We met through a mutual friend. And I actually had heard of Peter from other people that I've known in the music industry. But I had never met him or whatever. So anyway, we ended up meeting through a girlfriend of mine here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I think I had just turned 40 and I came to Atlanta for a birthday party. This was actually my girlfriend Marcia's birthday party.
Okay, Marcia.
And he was friends with, and Marcia was friends with Peter.
Okay.
Well, was close to Peter. He was building Uptown. And we ended up, I think like we partied and then he ended up taking me home. And I'm pretty sure he took the long way because it took a really long time to get back to Buckhead. And I know we were not that far away. Right. And we just ended up talking about whatever. And he was just asking me all these questions like, so, what kind of houses do you like? What kind of wallpaper do you like? He was asking me all this like random stuff. And I was like, why is he asking me this stuff? Right. So anyway, and
you were single, you were single at the time?
I was single.
Okay.
Yes, I was single. And I just turned 40 years old. And we just started talking after that. And I moved back to New York and we stayed in touch and we just started talking. Okay. And after a while, he, things got serious. He would come to New York to visit me. Yeah. I would come to Atlanta to visit him, but he mostly came to New York. After like a year, I was like, okay, what are we doing? And he was like building this restaurant uptown. So I was like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll move to Atlanta. And of course, all my friends immediately were like, intervention, you're not moving to Atlanta.
Oh, no? Because your friends were in New York.
Yeah, and they're like New Yorkers. They're like, girl, nobody leaves New York. Like, we go hard for New York.
Yes,
so
yes, they do.
But I'm a Pisces, lover of love. My little happy Pisces, but was like, no, but I'm really happy and I really love. So I uprooted my child and my nanny.
How old was
Noah was 8 years old.
Okay, so how do we get on Housewives?
Oh, so I get to Atlanta and April Love.
I know April.
And Satchel Jester.
No Satchel.
They were working with Peter and they were like, you should get on Housewives. Whatever, you'd be great for Housewives. You need somebody like Cynthia Bailey. And at the time, I didn't really know the show. Okay. And it was like the second season of the show. Okay. I came on season 3. And
gosh, you came on kind of early.
I did. I came on right after Candy. Candy came on. It was the original OG cast, and then Candy joined, and then I joined. Well, Phaedra and I joined.
Candy was season 2?
Candy was season 2.
And you and Phaedra season 3?
Phaedra and I came on season 3.
Okay, continue.
And the crazy thing about that is they were really checking for Phaedra. Because she was from Atlanta, and she was a known lawyer here or whatever. And I had just moved here from New York, and I didn't really know anyone here, really, other than Boris and Nicole. And they pretty much moved to LA as soon as I got here. So that was like, well, there goes my 2 friends. Right. So,
April and Satchel said you need to be on
They
Housewives.
were like, yeah. So finally, Peter was like, well, why don't you just see what it's about? Just take an interview and see what they're talking about. And so I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, I don't think I'm out of it. What I did know was it was a lot of drama, like going on and super big personalities. And that just really wasn't me. I was like, no drama. And, I'm actually kind of shy. Well, I used to be before I went on Housewives. Right. I couldn't be anymore because I had everybody coming for me. So anyway, so I did an interview and it's kind of similar like to the modeling thing. I was like, oh, they're probably not going to pick me, so whatever, I'll just do the interview. And then they were like, I did another interview, and then I did a screen test with Derek J. Derek J was the person. He came over to our house,
I love Derek J.
We did a scene together. And I remember I was like just being all humble and nice. They're like, so what's your life like in New York? I was like, oh, it's really nice and whatever. I just love my job, whatever. And then I remember Joy Chen came over and she's like,
producer, right?
Producer. Yes. Joy Chen, producer. She was like, you're Cynthia Bailey. We know that you're like really fabulous. So I know you would not normally talk about how fabulous you are, but on a show like this, you need to talk about how fabulous you are. We want to talk about all the fabulous men you've dated. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I just started like talking about my life. And then I went on to the next round. And then they told me, all right, well, we're going to just keep shooting with you and Phaedra. Okay. We're only going to pick one housewife, but we may make the other person a friend. So I just started shooting. And then they gave me, insert. They gave me they decided to put me with Nene Leakes as her friend.
Okay.
Who I didn't know.
So you had never met Nene before.
And Nene was like the breakout star of the show.
Right.
And I had heard of her, but I didn't, I hadn't met her or whatever. And they were like, we want you to meet up with Nene to just see how you guys vibe. Mm-hmm. So, and we met at Papados. It's my first time. Well, actually, I went to Papados in Houston. So it was my first time.
When I hear about Papados, it's always Houston. But
yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay. So I went to meet her and she was like blowing up. Like she was just like she was the star of the show. Yeah. And she had just came back from LA doing the carpet for E and done all this crazy stuff. She was like on 100. And I was like, just like taking it all in. I'd never met anybody like Nene before. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Right. So I didn't really say a lot because she really, talked the most because she had the most going on. And I just was like taking it all in.
And then y'all were filming?
No.
No, you just met?
We just met. We just met.
So how was she? How she was on camera?
She was nice, but she was just like, this was like she was in her moment. She was in her element, okay? And I was just taking it all in. I was a happy audience. Like, okay, this girl is hilarious. This is cool, whatever. Right. So we get back and I don't hear from them for a minute.
How long was a minute, Cynthia?
Okay, maybe like a week. I didn't hear from them.
Oh my gosh. Continue. So I got to clarify.
So I was like, what happened? So I finally called her. I was like, hey, do you guys still want me to film with you guys? I haven't heard anything. They were like, oh, well, how did it go with you and Nene? And I was like, I feel like it went okay. I didn't really get to talk that much, but, it was cool. She's amazing. So they were like, oh, okay. So I don't know, maybe she was like, oh, she's really nice, but she ain't from over here. So I don't know if she said that, but I didn't hear from them people after that little meeting. So anyway, whatever happened, I ended up shooting with them. Somehow I got back in the mix. I can't even remember. Okay. So now I'm back in the mix and I'm like, okay, so I already see where it's going. Phaedra's going to be the housewife and maybe I'll get to be a friend on the show. So we shoot the whole season. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I didn't know what a turn up Peter was like at the time. I knew what it was like in real life, but I didn't know like they loved him on camera because he was crazy and would just say anything. So yes. All right. So anyway, the show's getting ready to come on and they call us and say, we're going to take you and Phaedra as housewives. And I was like, wait, what? So it just happened really fast because I had already convinced myself because Phaedra was hilarious. She was pregnant. She was like made for TV. Yes. And I was just me. I was just being my authentic self. Like I didn't know anything. I was just showing up as me. And they took us both.
So you were officially a housewife. Yes. And you feel like Peter's personality helped with
100%.
Yeah, he has a lot of personality. So it was you and Phaedra on. And then you and Nene were like thick as thieves. Yeah.
Well, I was with like the most popular one on the show, Nene, who was like kind of like a villain too at the time. Like they always kind of put me with the villains because Peter actually had been a villain kind of personality too in the end. Right. So I was Nene's girl and I had Peter. So I was, in between these big two personalities. And I definitely felt like that didn't hurt for me to like float with them the first season for sure. So were you? I didn't have to do anything. I was married to Peter and I was best friends with Nene. So.
Were you? I wasn't say was that strategic, but it was really you.
It was not.
You actually were married to Peter, and then they paired you.
And
with
then
Nene.
They put me with Nene. I didn't pick Nene. I didn't know I could pick anyone.
Right.
That's who they put me with.
I feel like I heard you say in an interview that you felt some sort of safety with Nene, like you felt safe for.
I did.
Explain what that means.
Well, the reason I say that is when you come on a show like this, and Nene's basically, you end up being paired with the star of the show, you feel like, well, they're putting me with the star's not going anywhere anytime soon. Right. So if I just, do the best I can do and cultivate this relationship, that's real. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. We had a real relationship, which is why it was so hard for me when we weren't friends anymore. Right. Because we hung out on camera, off camera, vacations, like we traveled a lot together. Yeah. So it was authentic and it was very genuine, which is why people still like, oh, I guess we can be friends again. Yeah. Because they saw the evolution of that friendship.
Yeah, we're invested.
Yes.
Just like we won't let you and Leon go.
I'm not getting back with Leon.
I know, it don't matter.
Has a whole girlfriend. He's been in a serious relationship for years. It's not going to happen. We're going to raise them all together, and that is it.
I know. So, fans, we just be, whatever. Not whatever to her, but we are,
Right. I get it. People definitely love the dynamic.
Yes. Well, and I think, you all, we don't get to see, and this is because people are private. You are public figures. You co-parent. Mm-hmm. You all are both attractive. You're successful. We just don't see it. So when we see it, we're like, oh my God, it's a thing for us. Whose idea was it to do the friend contract?
It was mine.
No, but not whose idea. How did you come up with it?
How did I come up with the friend contract? Okay, so first season was I think first season for everyone, I can speak for all the housewives. First season was really
rough.
Tough because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know, and it's not acting. A lot of people ask me all the time, oh, is it acting? Do they tell you what to say? Right. No, they do not. They put us in situations, but you don't never know why you're in the situation or what's going to happen. Right. So I remember, now you got to remember, Nene's my new best friend that I just have acquired, right?
Right.
So, she was my lifeline. I was
So there was some dependency there. It was
she was showing me the way. And she was I was working for her. Even though we didn't have the same personality, I was okay. Well, I saw her come up. I was all right. So let me just follow the leader here.
Yes.
So, and I was completely, a lot of people refer to me as her sidekick or whatever, but we were always very equal. She just had a bigger personality.
Right.
This is what it is. And now what happened is the show comes on.
Yes.
And I know what I filmed, but I don't know all the crap everyone's talking about me in their confessionals.
Right.
I didn't know we were supposed to talk crap about each other in the confessionals.
So you didn't know?
No, I was nice to everybody. I was I love Sheree. She's awesome. She's great. And they'd be oh, she's Nene was whoever they were calling me single black female stalker. I was obsessed with Nene. When I tell you they had me looking crazy, and then everything was falling apart with Peter and I because we were trying to get married and the money was crazy. We were trying to build the restaurant. We were a hot mess. It was insane.
Right.
So I was I'm so confused. I was wait, why are they saying all these things? They're so nice to me when I see them. Why did they wear me out, girl? I was oh my God, they all hate me. So anyway, I remember I was okay, well, my one friend is supposed to be Nene. Now, I don't know what happened once these cameras came up. I don't know how this reality TV thing works, but she's my friend.
Right.
So as a joke, because I think I do have a funny sense of humor, I was you know what? I don't know what's going on, but I feel I need to put her on the contract. Are we friends or not? So I just wrote thinking, oh, she's going to think this is so funny. And she's going to be oh, Cynthia, you're so crazy. And everybody was going to think I was so great and funny, right? Girl, I wrote out the friend contract and I took it to the scene. And it was a really weird scene. I think we were at Kim Zolciak's house. And I could already tell that as soon as I pulled up, I was the energy ain't right.
It's feeling weird.
They're going to be mean. Something's not going to be right here. Mm-hmm. So I get there and I think she's doing a scene with Kim and I'm just kind of hanging around and I don't know what's happening. So finally I was hey, Nene, can I talk to you for a second? Because my feelings were hurt, but I didn't really know how to really approach it because we're on a TV show.
Right.
And I didn't really want to fall out with my only friend. So I was I don't know, whatever I said to her. And I was well, I just want to give you this because I love you and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So she got it. And then the next thing I know, that friendship contract, then it had other scenes where they were okay, Cynthia, you're good now, you can go home. So I'm okay, well, that seemed like it went well. And then I leave, and then all I see is these other scenes where they're passing around. She's crazy. Who does this? Who tries to put something? When I tell you, I was oh my God, it was a joke. They were supposed to be laughing, and it just made it seem like I was a Nene stalker. So
that was
my first season was pretty much.
That was brutal.
It was tough.
It was great. It was great as a viewer. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Cynthia Bailey. Do you think? I know everyone asks this all the time. Do you ever think there's a space or a world where you and Nene would be back to hanging out again and stuff?
You know what? I'm never going to say never because you just never know what God has in store for us.
What do you miss? What do you miss most about that friendship?
Laughing. When I tell you, Nene is funny. She is hilarious. We would laugh about the silliest things, and we really had a natural chemistry together. We really We were so different. Well, I always felt like we were super different, but we just really connected where we connected. And it's really hard to explain. We just would be on the phone all the time. And, we'd just be laughing about the silliest stuff. I don't know. She just makes me laugh.
Okay. So what scene do you wish viewers got to see fully without editing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Mm-hmm. There was a scene where I was getting ready to do my Seagram's Escapes event. Mm-hmm. And I invited Kenya.
Okay.
Nene and Kenya were not getting along. And Kenya told me she wasn't coming. Okay.
Is this when she showed up pregnant?
Yes. So Candy wrangled her to come. Because Kenya was like, I'm not coming. And basically just to really just be honest, she was, not on the show at the time. And she was like, when you're not on the show, it's not like we're just over there just wanting to come to a scene for free.
Right.
I mean, we're your housewives.
Yeah.
So Candy convinced Kenya to come.
Mm-hmm.
I honest to God on everything, did not know Kenya was going to come. And I figured she would call me and tell me, be like, hey, I'm really going to come. Because they didn't even have a mic for her because I didn't even tell production because I didn't know she was coming. So Nene felt like she thought that I knew she was coming. And I was like, girl, if I knew she was coming, if I wanted her to come, I'd just be like, she's coming. So you just have to be mad at me, whatever. Like, I want to invite both of you guys. But it ended up being a whole thing. And then Mike and I are dancing and we're talking and somehow it looks like I'm literally saying that I knew she was coming or something. And I did not know she was coming until this day. Like, I remember going to the reunion hot as fire. I was like, oh, we're going to get this straight today, because it just was one of those things. I was like, I did not know the woman was coming. And I'm not, I've been on the show 11 years. I'm a lot of things, honey, but I'm not a liar. You know what I'm saying? And even though, Nene would have been pissed off at me or whatever, we would have got past it. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion.
Right.
So anyway, that I just felt like,
you wish viewers had saw the whole.
But what they showed, it was no way for me to really explain it because of how they showed it.
Okay.
And the context that they showed it in. So that's just how, it is sometimes. And it was just, I had it was 11 years. That was probably no time that I had something crazy like that where it was very, difficult for me to explain it, although it was the truth.
Right. Okay.
So
Carlos King, who was a producer for years.
Many years.
Many seasons, many years on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And he's done other housewife shows. He called you the most underrated housewife.
Yes.
How did you feel about that? He gave you your flowers and everything. Yes. How do you agree with that in terms of you being underrated?
I do agree. And it meant the world to me coming from Carlos, because he was there. From the time I walked on to any set, Carlos was there filming. So he knows this show. He would never just give me flowers that I didn't deserve. Trust and believe. I love Carlos. But I feel like, for the 11 years that I was on the show, I gave my reality. I gave my truth. I gave the blood out of my veins. I gave my marriage. I gave my divorce. I gave everything that I could give. I gave my child. I gave everything. Mm-hmm. And I also was the go-to for events. My events are famous. The Bailey Q. We did Bailey Bowl Olympics. Mm-hmm. God, I did so. I think I'm the only. Well, I know that I'm the only housewife of any housewife franchise that could actually convince their cast to come as versions of me, as Cynthia Bailey for their 50th birthday. And then I did the whole 50 Cent thing. I mean, I can't even remember all the stuff.
Yeah, you've done a lot. You've had lots of moments, lots of events.
Yeah.
He kind of broke it down. If you guys listen or watch the episode or listen to the episode of you guys talking about it, he was even saying I need all my shows to have a Cynthia Bailey.
He did.
Which I thought was, and when he broke it down, it was very sweet. It was very kind, but it was very honest and real. He explained the different personalities and the different dynamics that you need. And then you need someone that everyone kind of gets along with. It's kind of one of the neutral people. Voice of reason on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because even with the fans, when I meet guys and girls are oh, I'm the Cynthia in the group. Be 5 of them. It's 6 of these. It's I'm the Cynthia. Uh-huh. This is the Nene. This is the Kenya. But it really is. People really, when they watch the show, although it is an ensemble cast, they have to find the one person that they relate to, that they identify with. And, I'm pretty down to earth. I'm just me. Again, I've always shown up as myself. I'm pretty, authentic in who I am as a person. And I think, and also I'm a nice person too. I think me being kind and, having this crazy work ethic and just being a team player, I think that was my superpower on the show. Bravo never called me any season, like, hey, you're really boring. You're not really doing enough. We're really thinking about firing you this week. Like, I never got those calls. Oh, I know a scene that I wish never happened.
What?
The scene where I kicked Portia when we got into it on the boat. Yes. I felt so bad about that. Oh my God, I still feel bad about it. Like, even talking about it. We were and of course, I was going through some stuff. Right. Her and I were going through stuff. And we were like drinking like crazy. And I needed a drink because I was going through stuff outside of the cameras.
Right.
And I remember we hadn't eaten and it was just whatever. And I was like stressed out. And what she said was not even a big deal. Like, well, she called me a bitch, but like, that's nothing on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's a Tuesday.
Bitch! Oh my God, bitch! I was like, I just went crazy.
Right.
And it just ended up escalating and going somewhere that I just hate that it went.
Right.
And thank God, I'm so grateful that we were able to squash it. And like right away, I was like, I gotta do the same with Portia apologies. I apologize. Like it just happened.
Right.
And it was one of the things I really, really regret and I felt bad about. And I'm really glad that, we were able to. She gave me the grace to like, we could just move on.
Right.
And, I apologized. She apologized. And that was that. But I
forgot about that.
Yeah. I know. I'm sorry I brought it up.
I love it. But I did forget about that. What do you think is the biggest misconception about the show?
About the show?
Mm-hmm.
I think people do think that first of all, they think that it's easy to do.
Right.
And
it seems very
the
time
hardest
consuming
thing to do.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, it's so easy to sit on your couch and watch and say, well, if I had been at the Bailey Q, I would have did this, I would have did that. No, you wouldn't have. You would have been right over there looking crazy, just like we do. And I will say, I take my hat off to all the housewives around the world.
Yes.
Like, honestly.
Yes.
Because being a housewife it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of our time.
Yeah.
It is mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally
exhausting. Yeah.
It really is because, we shoot the show. We have no control over editing. We have no control over how the fans are going to respond. We have no control over social media.
Yeah.
If you took social media out of the equation, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Because we just do the show and just get our check and we don't have to worry about any backlash. But like anything we do, anything we say, now we live in such a sensitive, politically correct world now.
Right.
We have to make sure we're always, it's kind of hard to just be yourself. And if you say the wrong thing or you do something that comes off super insensitive, or if you offend a community of people that you're not trying to offend because you're trying to be funny or you're doing whatever, and then you get dragged because of that.
Yeah.
It takes the fun out of just making good TV.
Yeah.
It's the same with like comedians now.
Yeah.
Like, it just sucks that they don't really get to just be fun and be entertaining.
What would it take for you to return?
Woo! I get this question a lot.
Okay.
Honestly, and I've always been transparent about this. Bravo asked me to come back as a friend this last season.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to come back at all because I just felt like I needed a break. And it wasn't that I was offended that after 11 years, 11 long, unforgettable years, that I was, it was beneath me to come back as a friend. That wasn't the deal. I had just gotten married. I'd been through a marriage on the show. And I felt like I really needed some time to be in the same house and place with my husband, the same city, and give my marriage a real chance. And it is very difficult to do that while filming a show like this. We film for, many months, and it just is very, very time consuming. So I decided, and I wanted to focus on my acting career.
Okay.
So, and all of that led to LA.
Yes.
And it was just time. I mean, I've been on the show for 11 years. I needed, it was like, okay.
So how do we get you back?
Oh my God. Okay. So here's the thing. As you know, I'm going through a divorce, and you don't know this, but I have decided to move back into my home at Lake Bailey, and which is in Atlanta, Georgia, which puts me back in Atlanta.
It does.
And what I'm going to do is just go back and forth for my
work,
TV shows and movies and all of those things. But Atlanta will be the home base. I don't know if I can go back as a housewife because I just don't want to talk about my personal life anymore.
Gotcha.
I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But I do miss, especially going to BravoCon. After going to BravoCon, the fans were like, I kind of got the bug again. So I am definitely open to, now that I am back in Atlanta, more than I have been, to maybe going back as a friend, because I do miss the ladies. I do miss the show. I just don't want to go back in the capacity where I have to talk. I'm so done talking about my personal life.
Okay.
I really want to be able to act and go play with the girls and go on the trips and, see what they're up to. And eventually find love again and be with someone where I don't really have to showcase my love life. Because I really, one of the things that I did when I met Mike, because I was head over heels in love, I lifted him in a place where I was like, #chill. I mean, I was like, Mike. And I just get really excited when I'm in love. It's just who I am.
Okay.
And looking back, like, I don't know. I think now I will do things a little differently. I think I'm going to save my personal life a little bit more.
Off camera.
I'm getting older now. Like, I don't know. Like, they already think I've been married 20 times. I got one more shot. And that doesn't even have to be a marriage.
Right.
To be honest.
Okay.
But I want love. I want love. I want to be in a relationship again. I don't want to be out here traveling the world by myself. And, I have a blessed, amazing life. And I don't want to do it by myself. My daughter's 23. She don't want to be bothered with me. So I need somebody to share this greatness with. So, God willing, he'll bless me with someone that is, that's for me.
Okay. Lots of controversy about y'all having the big wedding during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stand by your decision to have your wedding the way you did?
You know what? I do, because what ended up happening was everyone kept saying, "Oh, do it the next year, do it the next year." But COVID never really went away.
It did.
Everyone thought it was going to be this fly-by-night thing, and it just never really went away. Like, I just got COVID tested for something, recently.
Yeah, I got tested yesterday. So,
but we spent a lot of money and a lot of time making sure that we, were within the COVID guidelines, and no one got sick at our wedding. So thank God.
Right. That's hard to do.
We put a lot of our wedding budget into making sure we took all the precautions. So I think it was the right time for us.
Okay.
Again, COVID never really, did leave for a while. So.
Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Cynthia Bailey. I have had an amazing time. Before I end all of my interviews, I ask some general life questions. Okay. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night?
Mm-hmm.
Noelle, making sure she's safe, making sure she's home okay.
What's one vice you wish you could give up?
Oh, well, I'm a late night snacker.
What you be snacking on?
Everything.
Okay.
Potato chips,
cookies,
barbecue potato chips, cookies. Like, I kick in like around 9:30. I've actually gotten up out of bed to go get. Like, I would wake up and be like, I want some ice cream. Like, I am a serious late night snacker.
Okay. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
That I am just as nice in person as I seem like I am on TV.
And you really are. I think you're nice. You're probably nicer because you're not beefing, because you be beefing with people on the show.
I'm a nice person.
No,
anyone that I meet, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I met her. She was cool." Like, very few people will tell you that I was just like an asshole when they met me. I try to be nice. Because I like to be treated nice. So, like, what, I want to be just mean for no reason?
Right. Your biggest professional regret?
I don't think I really have one.
Okay. What's the best thing that's happened to you this year?
Focusing back on myself. Getting back to Cynthia.
Okay. When's the last time you cursed someone out?
Ooh. Probably about a week ago. Yeah, probably. Can't remember who it was, but I feel like somebody probably got cursed out about a week ago.
Window or aisle seat?
Window all day.
Okay. What's one thing you've always wanted to try, but you've been too scared to?
I love the idea of jumping out of a plane, but it will never happen.
Okay.
But I love to see people do it.
What's the biggest misconception about who you are?
I think sometimes people look at class and kindness as boring, not exciting, whatever. And I think it is honestly my superpower. Me just being myself is walked me into every door that I've ever walked through.
Okay. Your favorite?
I never had to be anything else.
I mean, it's got to be beautiful to be yourself.
It's amazing because everyone's always like, be you, be true to yourself, whatever. I am. I'm just me. This is it.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Whoa. I love The Color Purple because I just love the movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I know all the lines from it. And
that might be your favorite.
I know, but I also like movies. Like I love the movie Great Expectations.
Okay, you only get to pick one, Cynthia.
Okay, you can at least say my baby daddy movie. Okay, I love The Temptations.
that is a classic,
and it's the perfect time of the year. I always watch The Temptations during the holidays.
Do you?
Yes,
That's
I do.
Cute. When's the last time you cried?
Last time I cried, probably about a week ago in my therapy session.
Okay. How often do you go to therapy?
I go once a week.
Okay. If you could pick one song as a soundtrack of your life.
I Will Survive. And can I say another one? I know I got to pick one. I'm Every Woman.
Which one is it, Cynthia?
I will survive.
Okay. Last question. If you could ask God a question loud and clear and God would answer, what would you ask God?
I would ask God to guide my footsteps, and only put me around people and places and things that are for me. That's it. This has been an amazing interview. That's it? This is it. All my tea, Jasmine. Listen, this has been an amazing time. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I've gotten so much tea from you. You have? I've gotten so much tea. You're super open and genuine and honest. And well, this is brutally honest. This is brutally honest. So you've been brutally honest. I have. Thank you so much. We can't make this the last time. Make sure you watch Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand every Monday night on FOXSOUL.